Hello there, and this is your friend Nick, one half of Nick and Mills Hyperspace, just telling you to don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of our videos. Leave us a good review on Spotify. Share us with your friends on social media. My friends Grogu and Wicket here love the podcast, and I know you would too. So please give us a shout out and keep looking forward to new content we're putting out. Thanks so much. May the Force be with you. You are now entering Nick and Mello's hyperspace. My name is Nick, and my favorite scene in Revenge of the Sith is the Opera House scene with Palpatine and Anakin. So beautiful and great acting from the two awesome actors.
Hi, my name's David. My favorite scene from Revenge of the Sith is the Senate chamber scene when Palpatine forms the Galactic Empire. You can really feel the power of that moment in the galactic history of Star Wars. So
Nice.
My name's Chris, and my favorite scene is just the multiple scenes of Order 66. I think it's just a beautiful moment and kind of brings our whole little story into a close.
RIP to all the heroes. In our journeys through hyperspace, we examine anything and everything Star Wars from the point of view of fans both young and old, and we have all come together through the will of the Force. And guys, this is a very special episode. This is going to be our May the 4th episode this year, and I couldn't think of two better people to bring along with two good friends of mine from my past. This is my little culmination, my little Avengers meetup, if you will. Two very good friends. David and I go way back. David and I have known each other since we were Padawans. I say we were sophomores in high school, I think, juniors, somewhere in there. Been friends ever since. Chris and I found each other later in life, a later love, but we have been friends for the last 4 years. We've worked together on and off, and both are massive Star Wars fans, and both love Revenge of the Sith, probably more than me, so I had to have them on to talk about it. So guys, we mentioned kind of why you like the scenes, but when did y'all start watching Star Wars? When did you guys get into Star Wars, and when did you even see Revenge of the Sith?
I first saw Star Wars probably when I was like 4 or 5-ish, around that area. There was a rerun of New Hope, and that was like a family watch time. So we all watched it, and then further I got further interested into it when the Phantom Menace came out and so on. I was lucky enough to be able to see all the prequel. The prequel films in the theater. So that's when I got to see Revenge of the Sith with my dad, and that was like a very like special moment, sort of thing, because he saw the original trilogy in theater when he was younger. So it was like a passing of the torch sort of thing.
That's cool. That's awesome. That's a fun story.
I've just sort of been a lifelong Star Wars fan ever since I was a little kid. My dad showed me like the original trilogy and everything like that. I really can't even remember whenever I started watching Star Wars, to be honest. I remember one of my earliest nightmares being of Palpatine, like zapping the shit out of me as a kid. But I think I saw Revenge of the Sith in theaters whenever it came out, because I can remember, I think I was in like second grade. I can remember like playing on the playground pretending to be General Grievous.
Nice. Your little
Yeah.
Wow, so y'all actually probably been Star Wars fans longer than I have, because I didn't see a Star Wars movie in theater until The Force Awakens. And this is the first Star Wars movie I watched, the end, I guess, at the time. And I think one of my brothers got it on DVD for Christmas that year, the year it came out, and we watched it, and I was like, this is cool. And then I didn't know there was more until my dad was like, oh yeah, there's tons of them. So we watched them, went to like the Blockbuster back then, if y'all know what Blockbuster is. We may have some young audience listeners.
Oh yeah.
Got the originals and the rest of the prequels and filled in the gaps, and been a fan since. So it's my 20-year anniversary of loving Star Wars, I guess you could say.
Amazing.
That's crazy. That makes me feel old.
Yeah. You are, but that's okay.
30 is coming this summer. So David's already 30. He just hit 30. So
Yeah, and the body's already failing.
Yes. Oh, it's okay. We're only as old as we let our minds be. So Star Wars keeps me young. I feel like Carmelo can attest to that probably. So when it comes to Revenge of the Sith, hard to believe it's been 20 years. And I I think I've probably seen this movie more than any other Star Wars movie. I don't know about you guys, but we had
I
it
would
on.
agree with that.
Yeah, okay.
I would too.
I had it on DVD. We had it. That was the only one we owned, and we just played it on loop. Me and my brothers. We loved. I mean, this was the most action packed. I think still probably the most action packed of all the Star Wars movies, with all the lightsaber fights and the chase scenes and just a lot going on. This movie kind of like hits the ground running like quick, and I think that's why it stood the test of time. It's something I noticed watching this last weekend when I was prepping for this. All the CGI still holds up. Like it still looks
It holds
like
up better
Grievous.
than a lot of current movies, to be honest with you.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, some of the Disney Plus shows I've noticed don't look great, and I've noticed this movie looks like it was probably made last summer. Like the close up of Grievous's face still looks incredible. Like
Grievous's death scene is crazy.
it is crazy.
The detail in that.
The fire out of the eyes and
Yeah.
the heart.
Serious case of heartburn.
Yeah.
That's
he
better. He needs some Tums, for real.
Yeah, it was crazy. This movie's just always been there for me, so it's like it's hard to imagine what Star Wars was like before it was around. So, what do you guys? Either one of you can start off. But what do you love about this movie particularly?
David, if you want to go ahead.
I think. I mean, there's a couple things I like seeing the as I get older, I appreciate more the political side of it, like how everything kind of turns out, especially with Filoni filling in Clone Wars and the background of how everything happened, pretty much how we got to where we were in that series, and then I appreciate political history too because my major was history when I was in college. So that's something I appreciate a lot. And then another thing is the aesthetic of like the last fight scene with Obi-Wan and Anakin. It's just I don't know, super epic, and like the art like they use for like the scene is just on another scale that you don't really see a whole lot in any other movie, regardless. So like even in Star Wars franchise, it's just not there like it is in that one.
Fair. What's your Chris?
For me, I'm a big fan of like the clones and everything. So I mean, being able to just sort of see them we see them a little bit in Attack of the Clones, but like even before the Clone Wars TV show came out, being able to see like them like in their own battalions and stuff like that, and then they actually like have like somewhat of like their own personalities, although you don't see a whole lot of that personality. But the clones have always fascinated me ever since I was a little kid. And also just that entire era of Star Wars is by far my favorite era of Star Wars. It's what I grew up on. That was Star Wars for me as a kid. You know what I mean? Like, obviously the sequels have come out now, and then the original trilogy has always been there. But that era of Star Wars was Star Wars for me.
Yeah, I do wish Carmelo could join us. For those that don't remember, he's still in Taiwan teaching, but he's a different generation than us. He's nearly or maybe over 30 years older than all of us. So for him, the originals are Star Wars, but we're all three prequel babies. Like this was our Star Wars, our generation, and I think it's fascinating how it is. I think we all are aware of because we've been on the internet for more than half our lives now. But this movie has become probably to me one of the more beloved movies in all of Star Wars. This one, I think, more than the other two, were probably not as bashed as much back in the day before the internet really took over and started complaining about other Star Wars stuff. This one always kind of was always at least we have this one. This was the bright spot of the trilogy for most people. What do you think about as time has passed, like the perception of this movie and just how it's viewed now compared to what it was maybe when we were, middle school, high school, when we were growing up?
I mean, I think with the fill-in of the Clone Wars and things like that, and the sequel trilogy kind of helped, I think, boost it a little bit. Because I do recall not with Revenge of the Sith, but in the prequels, Phantom Menace got some pushback when it first came out, that sort of thing. People thought it was slow, boring, but as you get along, you see why things happen the way they did. So I think only time has really helped Revenge of the Sith kind of become a higher tier kind of part of the saga.
No, definitely.
I think it kind of comes back to like people don't like change because like that was our Star Wars, but for other people that wasn't their Star Wars. Like the people who grew up with the original trilogy, they were used to it being like the original trilogy, and there was sort of some new takes kind of brought in, and like you were saying earlier, David, about like it being more kind of politically driven.
Mhm.
It definitely kind of threw some people away, and just like how people our generation may not really like the sequel trilogy, whereas like maybe younger kids, that is their Star Wars, you know what I mean? It's people don't like change. And I mean, I wasn't a big fan of the sequel trilogy whenever they first came out, but over time I've learned to appreciate it, and I've gone back and I've rewatched it, and I've realized that Star Wars is Star Wars, and I love any and all of it.
Same here. I always
Yeah.
say I grew up with the prequels, but they're not my favorite movies per se. I think I've loved the Clone Wars, Bad Batch, things surrounding the prequels now. And I think those have, like David mentioned earlier, made these movies maybe better in people's eyes, or maybe informed some of the story choices or some of the character choices that are in this movie. What is something that you feel like maybe is there certain episodes of the Clone Wars or the Bad Batch or any other thing that come out that kind of makes you appreciate this movie more, or maybe makes this movie so much better for you?
I think I know it was certain parts of the Clone Wars, the like following Count Dooku's story a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
helping to explain why he breaks off from the Jedi and breaks off, like leads the Separatists against the Republic. It gives a lot of background, and then you see it more in the recent release of Tales of the Jedi. Um, it kind of provides that perspective on like why he would do that, because if he was like this great Jedi within the Order sort of thing. So yeah, that's one thing I kind of think of with that.
I think of just seeing like being introduced to General Grievous, because he just sort of appears in Revenge of the Sith, you know what I mean? As like the leader of the droid army and everything, but we like see him so consistently in the Clone Wars. And I also think of Nick, me and you kind of talked about this a little bit earlier today. Like the Fives arc is a big thing, like in Star Wars, in the Clone Wars, that like really builds upon. Because I remember like in the original like Battlefront, like the canon that they were going with was that the clones already knew what Order 66 was, and like they knew that it was coming one day, but then Filoni goes and makes it the inhibitor chip, which I personally like better.
I like a lot better. Yeah, that makes a
Especially
lot more
after
sense.
watching all of the Clone Wars, you know what I mean? Seeing the relationship with the Jedi and the clones, it just doesn't make sense for it to. They knew it was coming.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the beauty of what time can do for us. It gives us time to sit with things, and then gives creators time to like come up with new ideas and expand upon things we already know. Both of what you guys said, the inhibitor chips, I love that way better than the just randomly all of a sudden the clones are evil. Didn't like that. Still didn't like it up until I saw the Fives arc, and I was like, oh, this makes way more sense. That makes that Order 66 scene hit differently for me. And then David, the Count, like you mentioned, the Count Dooku's backstory we get in Tales of the Jedi. I'll be honest, I never really cared for Count Dooku. He was just there for me.
Mhm.
Tales of the Jedi made me appreciate him way more as a character, and I really adore him now. But yeah, so we've gotten a lot of stuff in the animated sphere that's made this movie better, and uh, I think that's just a testament to how big and broad the Star Wars universe is. Because in a movie, you can only get 2.5 hours to tell a story, and as you guys, we've all watched the Clone Wars. There's so much to tell, so many different aspects of the war that's explained, different factions, and just the lives of the galaxy as a whole. Like we don't really in the movies. I don't think we often get enough of how does this war affect everyday people? How does it affect everyday lives?
Mhm.
And that's the beauty of what the animated shows have done. But um, I wanted to talk about our next segment here. I want to talk a little bit about some of the characterizations that we see in this movie with our main characters, Obi-Wan and Anakin and Palpatine, and we're gonna. I don't want to compare it too much to the Clone Wars counterparts, but what are some things that you really love about these characters in these movies? Like, what's some things that stand out to you?
Well, I mean, just I think the brotherly relationship that Obi-Wan and Anakin have is really beautiful, and it makes the end fight that much more heartbreaking. I think, yeah, I think that's the big one that stands out for me. And then Anakin's arc coming to where before he becomes, spoiler alert, Darth Vader.
What?
Um,
Oh, that's so crazy.
Yeah, but I mean, even throughout the movie, kind of like cut corners in his morality, sort of thing, just for expediency. And to get to like, the prophecy of his wife Padme dying isn't doesn't come true. Cutting all these corners, killing Dooku. Um, just all kinds of horrendous stuff, especially toward the end. I think, yeah, I just think that.
Yeah, I agree totally. But you, Chris?
I agree with David. Like, just like the relationship between Anakin and Obi-Wan. I mean, like, you see it throughout the 3 movies. I mean, obviously you see it in the Clone Wars, but I mean, even just if you just watch the movies, you can get it from the movies. You know what I mean? Especially in Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, you just see. I mean, even in the opening scene, you see their relationship and how they are together, just going through the whole like dogfight that they're going through in space. I mean, you see that Anakin's just this chaotic thing, and then Obi-Wan is just this very civilized, very just like
Yes.
locked in kind of guy. But you see that it really is like it's almost like it is like brothers, but also like almost like uncle nephew kind of thing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, I never thought of that actually. I kind of see in the Attack of the Clones as more of a father son kind of a relationship,
Absolutely,
and then this
Yeah.
movie they've kind of Anakin's matured
they're
a little.
equals.
They're more equals, brothers maybe. But I'm so glad. So we talked about other media that's kind of come back or that's kind of enhanced the movies. I'm really glad that we got to see Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen reprise their roles in future stuff. And Ahsoka and the
Mhm.
Kenobi show. I'm really glad they've come back and they're getting the love they probably should have gotten all along that maybe they didn't get during the initial release of these movies. Um, we'll see if they're going to be in anything else, but I've really loved them just popping up again. And the Anakin reveal in Ahsoka was probably one of the coolest things ever, I thought.
I agree.
Is there things we were going to gloat and love about this movie the whole podcast, but I do want to spend a little bit of time. Just, is there anything in this movie that, despite the Clone Wars and all the other things that have come out since then, is there anything in this movie that you're still not like on board with, or things that you're like you don't necessarily love about this movie? Anything like, or it doesn't even have to be anything major. It could be a nitpick.
Mhm. For me, I think just the overlooking Padme's like character in this story, because as we see in other series, that she plays like a pivotal role in like the politics of everything and how everything unfolds. Even in the prequel movies, she has an important role. So it's kind of sad to see her overlooked and like just in the shadows throughout this movie. That is one thing I didn't love about it. I
Same,
understand there's constraints, with coming to making a movie like that. So
same here.
Um, for me, I feel like the first half of the movie happens like very quickly, so maybe I mean like I wish the movie maybe could have been a little bit longer, but I mean I understand that there's only so much they could do fitting this much information into a 2.5 hour long movie. The pacing I wish could be a little bit more spaced out, but it's still great.
Yeah. I echo David's sentiments. That's been my biggest complaint of this movie over the years. Padme is, to me, a very great, and Natalie Portman's a great actress. She's gone on to do all kinds of stuff. She was Thor. I mean, she's done a lot of cool stuff. I just feel, yeah, this movie, that is my major complaint. I still have, and I'll die on the hill. I think Padme should have been way more involved. There's a lot of deleted scenes of her kind of with Bail Organa and Mon Mothma kind of planting the seeds for the rebellion that's going to come, and I just wish those kind of would have been included somehow or been involved in the politics of this movie, because that's a great character and she's so wonderful in Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones. In this movie, she's just kind of pregnant and standing around. She's not doing a whole lot, so I kind of hate that. And I know, you know, that's important. I mean, having the future of the rebellion, the mother of that, I mean, that's important. But I really just kind of wish there was some way we could have included her more, had her more of an active role in this movie instead of kind of just passive for Anakin.
yeah, beyond a symbol.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's just another character I want to talk about too. Who's another? I don't know. Maybe I'm just in a prequel renaissance of myself and falling in love with these movies in this era again. But Sam Jackson, um, in this movie, incredible. I really enjoy him. Loved him a lot in the previous movies, but this movie, that's probably my favorite lightsaber battle in the movie is him and Palpatine. Those two, it's the whole turning point of the whole movie. Without that, movie kind of falls. there any other characters that stand out to you in this movie that you really loved, or you think just did it, or actors that did a great job?
I think
I can't
Dooku
remember
did
his name.
phenomenally.
What? Say that again.
Dooku, I think Dooku did great.
Oh,
Yeah, Christopher Lee. Yeah, his brief appearance, he did pretty awesome.
Yeah,
okay. I was gonna say the gentleman that played. I can't remember his name right now, but the guy that played Palpatine
Oh,
yeah.
really
Ian McKellen.
brought him to life. Yep.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did great. Oh, you can tell he's having fun with this movie. He's very,
Oh yeah.
he loves it. Like this is, to me, he's just as
No.
do it. he's
Do it.
just as much of a character in this movie or this whole prequel trilogy as anyone else. Like to me, he's a main character. Like without him,
Oh yeah.
you don't have it. I know he's a lot of the movies he's in and out of the shadows, but he's very much in the background and pulling the strings. And this movie, he really gets to be like front and center. Whereas in other Star Wars movies, even when they brought him back in Rise of Skywalker, he really wasn't front and center like he was in this. So, um, yeah, he definitely gets all the love, and I really love him as the Emperor. I can't really picture anybody else playing the Emperor.
I agree.
Let's see, trying to think, is anything we haven't really talked about yet. One thing I wanted to talk about was some fun facts I discovered. I've done some research this week. I'm going to share them with you guys. Tell me your opinions. You may know these. I don't know if you guys know these. Most of these are from IMDb, but I've come across some on other sources on the internet. And they would have changed the movie drastically. So first, these are things that were cut from the movie that were supposed to be in there. They ended up not being in there. First one, General Grievous was going to be much different. So we know in the Clone Wars, Maul was supposed to be, he was come back, was a major pivotal role in the Clone Wars. Before even Clone Wars, Lucas had the idea of bringing back Maul. Originally, General Grievous was supposed to be Maul. That was supposed to be him in the suit, and that was kind of, he went through experimental surgery to keep himself alive, and that was going to be the big reveal when he fought Obi-Wan, but Lucas decided against it. I don't know how y'all feel about that. I'm kind of glad he did not do that. So that would have been, Clone Wars wouldn't have been the same if Maul was not in there. So I'm kind of glad they did not go that
I
route.
agree. I agree with
Yeah.
that.
Good
too.
decision. Good decision there. Another fun one, the Opera House scene. Originally written to be kind of a twist. That was going to be a big twist in the movie, was Palpatine explains Darth Plagueis and the formation of, or the creation of life through the midichlorians and all that. That was originally supposed to be how he explained Anakin's birth, and was going to reveal that he was the father, that Palpatine created Anakin. And it was supposed to be like a mirror to the Revenge, or the Empire Strikes Back reveal, kind of like a, oh my god, kind of thing. Lucas felt like it didn't make sense too much, and it would have taken away from the severity or the seriousness of that scene, so he cut it. Another thing I'm kind of glad they didn't do, because that Opera House scene is my favorite scene in the whole movie. That gives me chills every time I hear it, and both actors do a great job. So would have been much different. What's another one? So 2 original trilogy characters were going to be included in this movie and kind of have their backstories explained. We get our friend Chewbacca showing up and helping Yoda on Kashyyyk. Originally on Kashyyyk, we were going to see a young boy helping the Wookiees fight and gather supplies, and the young boy was going to be Han Solo. It was going to explain that he was raised by Wookiees, and that's why him and Chewbacca are lifelong friends. They grew up together on Kashyyyk. Thoughts on that one?
I think that definitely would have been interesting. That would have been kind of a cool thing.
That would have been, yeah, that would have been different.
I mean, definitely seeing Solo, I definitely like that a whole lot better.
Yeah, that's the one where I was like, I kind of like that idea. It takes away from Solo the Star Wars story, which is, to me, my most underrated Star Wars movie ever.
I agree.
Love that movie. So I'm kind of glad they didn't do that, because that would have not made Solo really work. Maybe they could have worked around that, but I really, really thought that was a neat idea. Don't know why that was cut. It didn't really say much about why that was cut, but that was an idea that was floated around. And this last one I found, was one that we ended up seeing a version of in the Clone Wars, but didn't make it to the Revenge of the Sith screen. A teenage Boba Fett during the Order 66 sequence was going to be the one to eliminate Mace Windu, but Lucas felt like it wouldn't be believable because Boba was only a teenager at that point, and he felt like Mace had to be the linchpin for Anakin's turn to the dark side. What do y'all think about that one?
I think it's another good choice. I think there's some comics that followed Boba Fett.
Yeah, I think around the time of this movie, they were releasing a lot of like teenage Boba Fett, like middle grade books. Yeah, I'm kind of glad this didn't happen. We kind of saw a version of it, or loosely adapted in the Clone Wars episode, season 2.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I do agree, him not killing Mace was probably the right decision, because I don't know if any other Jedi would have worked during that scene with Anakin
Yeah.
the way Mace would
Mhm.
have, because of their shared history together. But
I completely agree.
those changes would have definitely made the movie a lot different, I think, even if they were major changes. But any of those y'all wanted to have seen or kept, or are you okay with the final product we got?
I mean, I think the only one that wouldn't have been like completely disastrous would have been like the Han Solo one. I feel like that one wouldn't
Yeah.
have changed the movie very much, but I feel like all of the other ones would have completely changed just the course of Star Wars in general.
I agree.
Yeah, I think so as well.
Yeah, that would have been a lot. I thought those were fun tidbits. I didn't know some of those. A couple of those I already knew.
Yeah, I had not heard of those.
Yeah, those are internet, found them on the internet. Knows how true they are, but it seems to be, I found them at multiple sources, so maybe there are some truth to some of those.
They're on
But
the internet. It
Lucas,
has to be true.
of course, just like, yeah. Well, George Lucas is very famous for like scrapping ideas and then like, oh, I'll reuse that later. So we
Yeah.
did see the Boba Fett and the Darth Maul kind of be used loosely eventually. So who knows? Maybe we'll see a version where Han Solo is on Kashyyyk as a little boy one day. I don't know. That would have been a cool one.
It'll
But
explain how he knows how to speak.
maybe, yeah, and he has no memory of Chewbacca, I guess, or maybe he didn't encounter Chewbacca at that point. Who knows? But yeah, those are some fun little tidbits about the movie that I absolutely loved. I want to talk about a little bit of final thoughts before we wrap up. I don't think we have to defend this movie any longer because, like I said earlier, it's gained a lot of love over the years. It is coming to theaters, for those of you who don't know, April 25th. I don't know how long it's going to be in theaters, but I know last year The Phantom Menace was in theaters, and then the year before that, Return of the Jedi was in theaters.
I think it's only about a week or two.
I think, yeah, those were about 2 weeks for both of those, so maybe they'll be in there. Probably, I would imagine, until after the May 4th weekend. They'll probably take them out, which is cool. I'm going to see it. I know Chris and I have talked about, made plans to try to go see it. David, are you going to try to make the trip to see Revenge of the Sith in theaters?
I will do my best.
That's fair. I know Return of the Jedi I really wanted to see, and for those who don't know, me and Chris live in North Georgia, and there was no theater within like probably 75 miles that was playing it, and I was so annoyed.
We did get to see Phantom Menace, though.
We did see Phantom Menace last year, and that was well worth it. That was well worth it. Fun experience. So I'm hoping we get to see Revenge of the Sith. Hope it's in a theater near us, and we'll get to see it on the big screen. Like I wish I could have done, say, 20 years ago, but it's okay. Life had different paths. The Force had different paths for me. So
Here we are now.
here we are now discussing this lovely movie. Any final thoughts for you guys about this movie?
I mean, I think it's the movie that made me the Star Wars fan I am today. You know what I mean? I think it's made a lot of Star Wars fans who they are today. I think it's definitely brought so many people to the fan base.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
I agree. I think it also made me a Star Wars fan I am, just because I had that, passing of the torch from my dad to me, that sort of thing. And then,
Yeah.
there was just so much, both not only the story, but also the marketing around it at that time with all the toys that came out.
Oh, yeah, we haven't even talked about that.
It's like scarred in my brain.
Yes, I remember all the commercials. I think
All the blasters for like clone troopers.
Yeah, I think I had the Time magazine cover of Darth Vader. My grandparents did for the longest. I don't know if they still have it, but I remember that was all over the place. The Burger King toys were wonderful. I think I had a few of
Yeah,
those.
Nick, you said that Burger King meme earlier.
Yes, of all those little toys. I think I had a few of those, and I hadn't even seen Star Wars at that point, but I thought they were fun.
I had the little backflip Yoda one.
I'm pretty sure I had a clone trooper, and I remember having either, it might have been Obi-Wan or Anakin, one of the two. I remember having a Jedi. It was probably one of them. a lot of cool ones. Yeah, and then the toys were everywhere. They had
Star Wars toys are top tier.
yeah, those were incredible toys back then. I still see a lot of them at local comic book stores or like McKay's or used bookstores. I see a lot of those like retro toys and seem to be very popular. A lot of people seem to love
Yeah, I buy
those.
most of them.
I've bought a couple myself,
Yeah,
and
same. Yeah.
I'm hoping because they did it for the Phantom Menace last year. We haven't really got any confirmation yet, but hoping they do something cool like new Funko Pops or Black Series figures for the Phantom Menace or for the Revenge of the Sith. I'm sorry, because they did a lot for Return of the Jedi and Phantom Menace. Surely they would do something for this, but nothing yet. I mean, it's still as the time of recording in March, so we'll see when they actually announce those. But anything y'all are any nostalgia merch y'all are wanting or looking for?
I'm
Um,
always down for some more Black Series figures.
yeah.
Yeah, I love
Uh,
Black Series.
not from Revenge of the Sith, but I mean, there was a big Millennium Falcon I got had as a kid, so still
Yeah,
looking for that. Like, take the top off. And,
I know we need
oh,
a new Millennium Falcon set. I see the one Millennium Falcon set is like 800. That's adorable. That's massive. That is massive. Fun fact too: the Millennium Falcon is actually in the movie. Just a very brief glimpse of it. I don't know if it's the Millennium Falcon, but it looks just like it. You probably have seen it on YouTube with the little circle and the arrow, the Easter egg videos. But that's a fun one. Yeah, I'm just excited for new merch. I want the T-shirts, the hats,
Absolutely.
the comic book covers. They did a lot of cool covers for Return of the Jedi. Phantom Menace, like a variant covers. So I want to see some of those. Would love a really cool Anakin Obi-Wan battle on Mustafar. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Maybe even a popcorn bucket.
Yeah, give us a big Vader popcorn bucket or something, or maybe a clone or even Grievous. Give us something like that. Something cool. I would love that. Maybe AMC will listen to us. All right. Well, everyone, I think we've said all we can about this movie. I hope you get to go to the theaters and watch it. Everyone listening, you guys as well. I look forward to maybe future conversations, future episodes, if you guys ever are interested. A new thing we're going to do in Nick and Mel's Hyperspace while Carmelo's gone is trying to do new episodes, trying to fill in the gap until he gets back this summer. This was just a special one I had in mind because I had to. Like, it's Revenge of the Sith. Why not? But stay tuned. We'll have new stuff coming soon. Remember, you can follow us on Spotify, YouTube. If you want to follow me personally on social media, my name is listed. My username on Instagram, Chris has his. David is a hermit. He does not want to be found. I'm kidding.
I live in the woods somewhere.
Yeah, he lives in the woods. He's got his little generator back there with his
Yeah.
yeah. He's hiding, plain sight. But thank you all for listening. May the force be with you, and go watch Revenge of the Sith, please. Do it. Do it.
Do it.